Well, Mark, let's move on into our last topic before we get into our picks. And the thing I'm going to disclaimer here for my wonderful YouTube watchers is that you might lose the visual feed during this. We're having some battery issues. We don't know how long this one's going to last, but we hope it lasts for this entire segment. And what we are looking at here, Mark, to kind of end everything before our picks, is we had one player and one team not have really good weeks in week one. The Giants, the defense played very well. The offense was shit. Pardon my language, but the offense was shit.
Continual problem in New York right now.
Then you have on the Monday night game, Adrian Peterson, all the drama in the world, thought he was going to be a bigger piece to this Saints offense, was yelling at Sean Payton. Payton turned around, and the look on Adrian Peterson's face, thought he was going to hit Sean Payton like he hit his child. Here's the thing, and this is what I am proposing, because this makes sense. Will it happen? Probably not. But I will ask you, should the Giants look to trade for Adrian Peterson?
I want to say yes, because the Giants, 35 yards. They ran for 35 yards this week, which is almost half of what the New Orleans Saints did, which is not that much more impressive. But so I want to say yes in a way, but the other part of me thinks a couple of things. One, Odell will be back probably for week 2.
I don't think that I don't think that plays into this conversation at all.
I think it does, because Brandon Marshall wasn't anything. He didn't do a single thing. So getting Odell Beckham Jr. out there, I think that's going to help. But the other part of it is this running back committee that they have in New York is already
not going to work.
Already so muddled that I don't think adding a two things I'll say. One, a Devo, because he's used to being the star, but also apparently a hothead. I think it's fair to say that by the way he reacted to his head coach, which is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form for a player to act that way with his head coach, especially not a bench player right now. Because unfortunately, Adrian Peterson, you're a bench player. I would not. If I'm McAdoo, I don't want anything to do with Adrian Peterson right now.
I'm on the other side of it. I think that this is a no-brainer. The Giants should at least. I'm not saying like do anything possible to get Adrian Peterson, but the Giants should say, hey, you know what? Let's pick up the phone. Let's see what the Saints are thinking. Let's see if we can get a deal done. Because here's what I think. First off, I'll look at AP and the Saints. After week 1, and you could say this is an overreaction, it's not going to work. End the marriage right now. I know you're on the honeymoon, but end the marriage right now. It's not going to work because Sean Payton's a pass-first coach. Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. With those two running this offense, plus with everything, all the freedom Drew Brees has in that offense, the plays are, yes, Sean Payton calls it, but then Drew Brees can change it at the line. He's got that type of seniority with this offense. And if you're a running back on this team, the whole thing with the Saints is, even if you're a wide receiver, it's you don't know when you're going to get your touches, but when you get your touch, make it count. And then come in, come out. That's basically what it is. They don't have one guy that is the bell cow. I mean, Mark Ingram only had 6 touches. Plus, when you're losing to a Viking team 16-6 at half, that passing coach is not going to say, hey, you know what'll help us? Let's run the ball a little bit. So that's the first problem. I just thought that Adrian Peterson, maybe in the offseason, we, along with him, didn't really understand how he would really work. Or he assumed that, hey, I'm Adrian Peterson. I'm coming home to play the Vikings. I'm going to get my touches.
Yeah, I think we all assumed that he would be a bigger part of this offense. I mean, but part of it, too, is Kamara looked like he's got some flashes, and he could be good.
That's why they drafted him.
Yeah, so you have that. You have Ingram, who's already good. It's kind of a, what's the point of Adrian Peterson? Why is he there?
Plus, Kamara can be used in the pass game, which benefits Sean Payton because that's what he likes to do. When it comes to the Giants, yeah, I get the little bit of a Devo thing, but Adrian Peterson is only the Devo when he's not getting his touches. And I'll be honest, if the Giants traded for him and he became a New York Giant, I'm sorry, Darkwa. I'm sorry, Paul Perkins. You guys are no longer running backs. You're backups. Adrian Peterson gets the majority of the touches. He is the bell cow. And I think that on the Giants, it's not like, oh, it's a perfect fit, but he would fit a lot better on the Giants than he is right now in the Saints, because Adrian Peterson could give the Giants, a reliable running back to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to hand it off to this guy, and I know he's my running back, not this running back by committee that doesn't seem like it's going to work. Also, another thing, and this is key because he's done it in Minnesota. Minnesota, we didn't have the best offensive lines with Adrian Peterson. However, Adrian Peterson's the kind of running back that when he is on, he'll do it himself. It doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't need the Dallas Cowboy of offensive lines in front of him.
When was the last time Adrian Peterson has done it? It's been about 3 years now.
I was going to say, what, 2 years?
He had a suspension year. He had an injury year. So it's been about 3 years since Adrian Peterson has really done anything in the NFL. So I sit there and I see Perkins and I see Vereen and I see Darkwa.
I'd say 2, because 2015 he had the he played, that was the last 16 game season he played. And he had over 1,000 yards, almost 1,500 yards that season. So it's been
since 2015.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can just plug and play Adrian Peterson necessarily to be your number one back. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that...
But he gives you better options than you have right now.
Here's the thing. Do you want Odell Beckham Jr., Brandon Marshall, and now Adrian Peterson? Not talent-wise. Do you want those three people in the same room together? In that same locker room? People are already questioning whether Brandon Marshall and Odell Beckham Jr. are going to get along. Now you're going to throw Adrian Peterson into that mix when he's not going to be getting those touches? I'm sure Brandon Marshall wasn't happy about the amount of times the ball was thrown his way.
Yeah, but the thing with Brandon Marshall, and I worried about it because he's on my fantasy team, is even in the preseason they were saying he's got to grasp this offense a little bit better. And really quickly, I wanted to pull up the contract situations with each. And I mean, obviously Odell's the guy that it's like out of the three, if we're going to have to get rid of two, but really it wouldn't, to me, it's a risk that I would take only because of the contracts. Marshall and Peterson both have 2-year deals. They're done after 2018. And to me right now, I feel like with this Giant team, yes, when you get Odell back, the offense is going to be better, because that's one of the big criticisms that people are saying about this offense is that when OBJ ain't out there, the whole house falls. The foundation is ripped down. Everything falls to the ground because there's nothing to hold it up. And it seemed to be true against the Cowboys. But I'm saying if you get, and I'm not saying it's like plug Adrian Peterson in, Giants are going to the Super Bowl like Ricky said. I just think that if they traded for Adrian Peterson, it would give them a better option in the backfield to give them a reliable option that would make defenses kind of respect the run. That's, at best, that's what it could do. Respect the run, keep a guy in, so that opens up passing lanes and opens up receivers for your offense to get going. And then that also gets Eli into, hey, we can do play action with Eli. We can fake it to AP and then have Eli throw the ball. The only question then is, can the offensive line hold up what it is a pass? And 2, can Eli not turn over the ball?
That's a huge part of it. This team has to do something because they only scored 3 points. Very sad, very pathetic offensive showing. And I understand that your number one wide receiver wasn't there, but you have a guy who was a number one on the last 4 teams that he's been a part of. And there's no reason why Brandon Marshall shouldn't have been more of an effective piece. The tight end position didn't get what they wanted. Running didn't get what they wanted. Your leading rusher, Perkins, had, 16 yards? That's terrible.
Not a lot.
That's terrible. And then Roger Lewis, your leading receiver, had 54 yards. nothing going on for this team at all. Something has to change, but it's interesting to see this team because Ben McAdoo had such a great performance as an offensive coordinator in Tom Coughlin's, his head coaching. What was that last season that he had?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And since he took over as head coach, it hasn't looked as good as people were kind of expecting it to be. This awesome, high-powered offense. To which I know it's week one, and I don't want to overreact, and that's the theme here. Hashtag don't overreact. But should we be talking about Ben McAdoo and the security of his job?
I wouldn't propose that at this point. The big thing that the Giants this year could be in a similar situation to my Minnesota Vikings last year. The only difference is they're not starting the season off 6-0. Because look at the Vikings last year. We had a quarterback in Sam Bradford, who I'm not going to say is on the same level as Eli. I would put Eli in the higher tier than Sam Bradford, but we had a quarterback that we were competent in. The run game was a little iffy with McKinnon and Asiata and everyone that we had back there before. Now we have what looks to be the future in Dalvin Cook. And then the receivers, we didn't have an OBJ. Yeah, Stephon Diggs was good, but we didn't really have, our best receiver last year. If you asked me, Ricky, who do you think your best receiver was last year? I'm saying Adam Thielen was our best receiver because of how many catches he had last year. Plus, I had him in fantasy, and he pulled up some big games for me last year. That's the closest comparison I see to this Giant team. The only difference is that defense isn't going to bring them 6-0. And the thing that I worry about, and this is a worry for me, take this into consideration, this is my Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
Before the beginning of the year, I said I am not worried about the offensive line. The defense will carry. Eli will do enough. I said this team is going to the Super Bowl. And now after week one, after the pitiful performance that I saw from that offense, I'm not confident they win on Monday night because look at what the Dallas defense was able to do. Look what the Detroit defense just put Carson Palmer through. 3 picks for him. David Johnson, I know he got injured in that one. That's why the running game wasn't able to get going. Plus, Matty Stafford with the huge comeback. Then you go at Philly. I get this could be in the overreaction category. They look solid in week one in their win of the Redskins. And then you go at Tampa, which right now we're still in preseason mode for them because we didn't get to see them play. They get to play their first game against your Bears this week.
Here's something that I wanna maybe I misunderstood you, but I think there's a chance you tried to just slip this by us.
Okay.
You tried to compare the New York Giants this year to last year's Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
You just tried to do that. A team who has Odell Beckham junior Brandon Marshall, 2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Eli Manning. They have Ellison, who's supposed to be a good tight end, but we'll find out about that. And probably a top 5 defense in the NFL. The defense I'll give you with the Vikings, but the Vikings no wide receivers last year.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I meant by we didn't have an OBJ like they do. But I mean, after week one, Eli Manning didn't look like Eli Manning to me. That offense didn't look like anything. Like if you asked me which offense I will take, I'd say fuck it, I'll take the Vikings from last year after this 3-point debacle that we had with the Giants. Every time they touched the ball, they couldn't get anything. And then when they started to do something, turnover. So it was like, to me, like...
That's what Eli does.
That's what I was... Exactly. But that's where I was going with the comparison. Of course, the Giants, if they play to potential, they're better than that Viking team last year. The only difference is last year, the Viking defense, phenomenal performance, got them to 6-0. The difference is this year with the Giants, it could be defense plays phenomenally, we still lose by 16. Because that defense against the Cowboys did not play bad. That defense kept them in the game. Like, there was a part, okay, Eli's getting the ball back. I think it was with 3-4 minutes. And I'm like, okay, get 2 scores, get a score, onside kick, another score, you're back in this. you can win this game still, and then boom, turnover. Okay.
Well, that was
game's
kind
over.
of the problem they had. I think last year was a lot of mistakes from Eli, and that's not the only thing that went wrong with the team last year. They had a lot of mistakes from Eli, and Eli Manning is known for dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
Something that happens, and it's especially apparent recently. So hopefully that's not a continued trend with him to follow that pattern into this year. For me, it's not necessarily the talent, although I do have some reservations. If he can go back to 2015, or if he can go back to before that suspension. What really gets me for the New York Giants is just the attitude, just the ego. I saw that guy yelling at his head coach. If I'm McAdoo, I'm saying I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want that on my team. I already got a guy who, kicks the kicker's net when he gets angry. I got another guy who, is going to start trashing team members and become a, locker room cancer, according to reports from pretty much every team he's been on, in Brandon Marshall. Do I really want to add Adrian Peterson to that? I personally would not.
And I get that. That's probably the only negative in this whole thing is the Adrian Peterson, you don't look really well. You don't come off well going against the head coach. Even in Minnesota towards the end, there was a little bit of a bump between AP and Zimmer and the coaching staff, it seemed. So I get that. I just think the Giants need to do something. And the offensive line is too far gone to fix overnight. And if they could work a deal to get a guy like Adrian Peterson, give them a chance in the run game, because I'll be honest, call this a week one overreaction. It probably is. But based on what I saw against Dallas, I'm looking up until the bye, maybe 2 wins, but maybe just 1. The Chargers. That's the only team where I'm like, maybe they beat the Chargers, but maybe they don't. I could see this team now going 0-7, 0-7, 1-6, or 2-5 in their first 7.
I think they'll be okay. I don't necessarily think they're going to be your Super Bowl champions like you were hoping.
However, isn't it funny? Is this just the kiss of death?
Possible. I do want to give myself credit here. I want to pat myself on the back. I had them missing the playoffs in my predictions because of the Eagles.
But that is
Eagles came in.
I also had the Eagles in the playoffs.
Eagles and Cowboys.
But yeah, I
just wanted to pat myself on the back.
Very high on the Giants this year.
Well,
and after week 1, I am still apologizing to Giant fans because I may have killed your season. It's like Brian Lutace said about me and the Cardinals last year. Brian Lutace still blames me for killing his season last year. It was. I said they'd win the Super Bowl over the Patriots.
You shouldn't have done that.
Which I wasn't like. If you look at it, I was kind of right. I had a Patriot and a bird in my Super Bowl.
The bird happened to be red.
I just picked the wrong red bird, Mark. I picked the wrong red bird, and I picked the wrong conference to win the Super Bowl. Just a little bit of a double whammy.
Yeah, you just got both things wrong.
Yeah, I just got both things wrong. But hey, if I would have went the other way, I would have been right. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below. Number 1, should the Giants look to trade for Adrian Peterson? What do you think he would bring to the team? What do you think he would not bring to the team in your yes or no answer? And then also just the Giants in general, because that's really what this discussion morphed into because of everything going on with them after week 1. And you guys can call most of the stuff that I said in this week 1 overreaction. It's probably true, especially with me worrying because they were my Super Bowl champions during the preseason. But you guys can let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.